and welcome to the Itinerary. In this episode, we will discuss sports tourism, which is travel dedicated to observing or participating in a sporting event. It's been a huge market over the years and one which continues to grow in New Zealand as we manage to win bids on incredible events or as different sports become more and more popular. With me today are some experts on this topic. Richard Clarke, Head of Major and Business Events at Auckland Unlimited, and Phil McGowan, General Manager of the All Blacks Experience.
So, why do people travel for sports? Isn't it just easier and cheaper to watch it on telly?
Have you been to a live sporting event?
You know I have, Richard.
Have you been to a concert versus watching a performance on the TV? You can't replicate the feeling of a live game or a live experience, although you guys do a very good job at All Blacks Experience. If you haven't been to that and experienced the haka, that's a little bit like being in a game. But yeah, I know coming from a basketball background, like basketball is one sport, you cannot have the same experience watching it on TV as you can in the stadium. It's about how you make people feel.
I think some of my fondest memories in my adult life on holiday have been travelling exactly for a sports event reason. When we were going to Paris with my brother for the Rugby World Cup, and we had the most wonderful weekend, and it was just a whole festival. The city came alive. It was awesome.
Yeah.
It's door to door. It's like, what else do you do from the moment you leave to go to the event to the moment you go home? It's the restaurants, it's the talking in the streets, it's the overall experience, not just the game.
Rugby and cricket are New Zealand's favourite sports. What do we know about domestic or international travel surrounding these, and who benefits from this type of travel? Yeah,
those are our traditional favourite sports, but it's evolving, and we have in Auckland particularly, over the next 3 years, we have an amazing program where we have the Women's Cricket World Cup, the Women's Rugby World Cup, and in effect the Women's Soccer World Cup, Football World Cup. And obviously there's evolving trends where people look at the destination as well as the sport. Where do they want to go? What are the other offerings on place? How can they build a broader experience around it? So I think the traditional fans of rugby or cricket will also now be fans of football or basketball or of music, and they'll look at, if I'm going for this event, what else can I do? So we're seeing a lot of that at the moment around, can you come to a blues game and then go to the Lion King? Those are more the sort of the way people are looking at sport.
Conjoint experiences.
Exactly. Sport may be the reason to travel. What else can I do when I'm there?
There's definitely an expectation that we can deliver something along those lines. And the experience works very hard, as did the guys, to deliver something quite unique and special for people. But certainly what we found, just building on what Richard said, over the weekend we had lots of visitors through the experience with their Chiefs jerseys on, who've obviously come up to see them play the Blues. So we're certainly seeing people coming through the doors who are in town for maybe a primary reason and then looking for those extra activities to bolt on.
How do we connect different experiences that are all happening at the same time and provide a really holistic experience for travellers when they come to Auckland in particular, to say, what's the whole breadth of the experience and what else can I do while I'm there?
Sounds like you all are collaborating beautifully together.
It's in the current environment, it's really important. Yeah. It's as travel is going to evolve to getting back to hopefully where it was pre-pandemic wise, there's making the most of every opportunity is important, and I think we've seen a really huge in this industry, a huge amount of collaboration and trust to help each other out.
I'd love to know more about the All Blacks experience. It's just so unique in that it's an entire experience developed around supporting one team. How did the idea come about? Who is the audience? And is there anything else like this in the world? I mean, gosh, tell us all about it.
Well, the idea's been around for some time, actually. New Zealand Rugby had an ambition to create a bricks and mortar experience, which really brought the All Blacks brand to life and would enable them to connect more strongly and more closely with the fan base. So I know that they were working hard on it back as early as 2015. And then a couple of years after that, they started talking in real detail with Ngāi Tahu Tourism, who really impressed them with their understanding of brand, with their understanding of storytelling, making connection with manahiri, with visitors, and the importance of delivering experiences to people which are guided, and where you've got real people who really connect with the story, sharing that story and that passion with visitors and with guests. The experience is around 90 minutes long, and the first half of it is entirely guided. So you will be with a guide through that first half of the experience. And in that space, you'll get to begin to understand the amazing legacy of success that the All Blacks and the Black Ferns and all of our rugby playing teams in black have had over the years. Get a good understanding of what it means, what rugby means up and down the country in terms of a bit of cornerstone of many communities. And then we really get into the detail of what's it like to be an All Black, what's it like to put on the jersey, what are some of the skills that you need to get your head around in order to make it to the top. And then you hear some amazing stories from current and former players about what their experiences were like. And that guided experience culminates in facing the mighty Kamate haka, which is pretty special.
Doing the haka, it is a part of our history, part of our culture.
It's something that brings us all together. We know from that moment, this game on,
the history that goes with it, not just All Black history, but why it's being performed.
We get into the niho to be connected, a sign of unity and strength and mana.
The All Blacks experience. Face the haka, learn the history, and understand what it is to be an All Black.
I love the sound of all of that. I need to get there as soon as possible. Richard, Auckland Unlimited is heavily involved in the bidding of these large sporting events here in Auckland and around New Zealand. What can you tell us about the process and why winning an event is so important to tourism?
It's important to tourism, it's important to the city and the economy as a whole. So if we use, say, the FIFA Women's World Cup as an example, that event will generate 60 million in GDP. For Auckland. You see the flow-on effect from a legacy point of view of the participation in the sport, championing women's sport in particular. We're looking at women's leadership events like the FIFA Congress around the event. So there's a multiplier from these events. We are sort of moving down the path of seeing events as a catalyst. So you look at what do you want the city to be, how do events help us get there? So FIFA again, training venues across Auckland will be upgraded with lights for training, so the ongoing impact of that event will be huge. If you look at, say, the 660 concert, there was close to 50,000 people there, great event. Over 3,500 people worked that event, so it's creating jobs. Every time the Lion King plays at Spark Arena, over 350 people work that event. So there's a multiplier effect way beyond just it's a great event to go and see. It's the flow-on effect to the economy is huge. And the Lion King is a great example, 60,000 tickets in its first week, over 30,000 of them from out of Auckland. So from a tourism point of view, it's doing a great job.
The Olympics and the men's FIFA World Cup attract millions of people. To host these tournaments, it's huge. Do you think New Zealand will ever have the capability and the capacity to be able to host something of that size?
Potentially. FIFA is the third largest sporting event in the world, and it's coming to here in Australia. It's I think the challenge with the Olympics is scale, but there is a trend potentially within the Olympics to descale and make it less onerous on the host nation. It's massively expensive in terms of venues, etc., and there is a history of countries and going bust based on the infrastructure that they needed to create the Olympics. So without saying no, it would need to be a pragmatic approach. But in terms of us working closely with Australia as a partner, we see that across multiple World Cups, that the scale, when you spread it across two countries that work closely together and can get the multiple benefits of it, that's worked really well. And so Brisbane's bidding for the Olympics, whether New Zealand or Auckland can be part of that, but the opportunity to be close to it and experience that in this part of the world is still exciting.
Why is it that we do seem to share these big sporting events with Australia?
A lot of it is about scale, population size, investment. By combining the two countries, we really increase both the market and the potential investment in it. And we have similar populations, similar interests in events, and a collaborative culture where we, in general, other than on the sporting field, we're not trying to beat each other or get wins. If we can get mutually beneficial outcomes, then and it's proven successful in the past.
What does the future of sports tourism look like? What are the opportunities that Kiwis could take advantage of?
For me, I see there will be a move back to attendance of large events, and I think that will always be there. But I think we'll see an increase in participation sports as the driver for tourism. We saw it pre-pandemic with World Masters Games, the opportunity to be involved in the event rather than watch the event. We have the World Choir Games coming up, which is going to be a remarkable event for Auckland. Coming out of the pandemic, people will be wanting for something different rather than just attendance, and the ability to combine some of those opportunities will be key.
I guess the one thing that I wonder is whether there'll be more of a hybrid approach to big events in the future, in the way that this forum is often hybrid, Do you think that will be more prevalent in the future, Richard?
Definitely. So in the business event space, and business events have a huge impact on the economy too, we're definitely seeing that, and that because you can provide the talent and the content anywhere. So we're looking at the hybrid model of having a domestically focused event, which we have attendance in person, then also having connection to Australia or other parts of the world through that model. So I think people's consumption patterns are going to change quite a lot, and it'll probably evolve over the next 2 to 3 years because we're very fortunate where we sit right now, but the global view of when things may return to normal is probably quite different.
Yeah, that transformational period I think will take some time. We're very lucky and grateful here in New Zealand. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being with us today and sharing your insights, your wonderful experiences that you are developing and creating for us here in Auckland and throughout Aotearoa. So thank you so much, and we hope to see you again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Michael Kelly. I'm an event development manager for Auckland Unlimited. We're responsible for attracting events to Auckland, ensuring that we're getting the most out of the investment and delivering strong benefits for both the destination and economic. In my role, I work incredibly closely with the organisers or the partners. Been lucky enough to work with players like Eugenie Bouchard and take them through Auckland in a way that they then present to the world. So my love for sports really started from a young age. My father was a sports journalist. I was probably 8 months old when I was dragged along to my first motorsport event. It just kind of grew from there. I was always involved with sport as a youngster right through school, and after leaving school up to a semi-professional level in Ironman triathlon, I pursued a degree in physical education from the University of Otago and included a BCom and specialising in subjects like sports tourism and sports marketing. I was really lucky in my last year at uni to volunteer at the V8 supercar event at Pukekohe, getting to see the promotion or an operational side of that. My dream was working for Formula One or working for Manchester United. Following university, I pursued my athletic career and managed myself, my own marketing, my own sponsorship, which really prepared me well for coming out and moving into bigger events, working with Sport Bay of Plenty and delivering their larger scale multi-sport events. I arrived in Australia in 2013, picked up by the World Rally Championship, and then moving to Canberra. I was event director there for the Southern Hemisphere's largest youth football tournament, as well as Football Australia and the delivery of Socceroo Internationals and FIFA World Cup qualifiers. From then was really lucky to get to experience my dream in the Australian Formula One Grand Prix. Be up close with people that I saw on TV and admired was pretty amazing. 2019 ASB Classic, I think that's always going to be special. I'd just come back to New Zealand and always knew that the ASB Classic was one of our pinnacle events. And to see an event like that, which is an incredible experience, and being around some of the world's best tennis players, Venus Williams, Serena Williams, Caroline Wozniacki, what we were able to do for that event in terms of using it as a platform to really put Auckland in front of the world for 2 weeks, it was incredibly rewarding. Another significant achievement would have been working with the 2019 Hyundai 49er FX and Macro World Sailing Championships. That event was awarded New Zealand Sports Excellence Event of the Year. The sporting world and event world is always constantly changing. You always feel like you're playing catch up. You only have to look around the world to America and Europe, and the event experiences that they deliver, like a Super Bowl or NBA Finals. We could certainly do a lot in terms of how we go about improving that fan experience. We need to get people off their couches where they don't need to queue up for the toilets, and I've got that full fridge full of beers, and get them out to the stadiums and give them an amazing experience. And not just an experience in the stadium, but in the city, because that's what's going to get people coming back. I think the beauty of events is that they're so unpredictable. The drama that you get from events is unlike anything you can get on Netflix or on or at the movie theatre. But I think the thing that I love most is that the level of enjoyment and value that you're adding to someone, and at the end of the day, seeing people leaving a venue or leaving the city with a smile on their face or talking about an amazing moment they've been part of, that's just, that for me is what makes it.